Hi, welcome to the show. This is Unscripted and my name is Grace Salami. Thank you so much for tuning in and thank you to Intim for hosting us today. This establishment is very beautiful. You must come and try it out. It's a wellness center, not a spa, I've been corrected. And of course, thank you to Faraja Tea for being our partner. We have some great tea here as I enjoy a conversation or have a necessary conversation with my two guests. I have Elsie Wandera Odhiambo and Lina Sonia. This happens to be Endometriosis Month. And apparently 1 in 10 women are affected by this, should I call it, condition? Safe to say condition?
Right.
Yes. So thank you for coming on the show. And yellow is the color. Absolutely. We are spreading the yellow.
Yes,
we are spreading. We
yellow.
have hints of yellow.
Yes.
The rest of us.
Absolutely.
So from the beginning, I had said earlier, I only recently, heard about or saw the awareness in endometriosis thanks to Jambi sharing her experience. But apparently it's been there for some time. So if you could, back to the basics, if you could both tell us what is endo, and for you, when did the journey begin for the two of you?
It's a condition whereby the lining that grows inside a woman's uterus,
yes,
that sheds every month, and this thing is called the endometrial lining. So a tissue similar to that grows outside of the uterus. And so to just give you like a sense of what is happening when a woman is having endometriosis, imagine every month I'm trying to shed that lining. Wherever else that lining or those cells are deposited, it's also trying to do the same thing.
And where could it, but you say wherever else, could it be anywhere in the body?
It is anywhere else other than the uterus. So it could be on your ovaries, it could be just outside the uterus, the fallopian tubes. It could be on the cervix. For some very unique cases, it could be in the brain. For like someone like Jambi, you mentioned, it is in the lungs. And those are very, very rare cases. I think they're like 5% of the total population of the women who suffer with endometriosis. So that's what happened. And so for me, I was diagnosed when I was 26. But that was after I started experiencing the pain when I was 15. So you can imagine from 15 to about 26, like just going through perpetual pain, and that just period of uncertainty. You don't know what you're going through.
What about you? When were you diagnosed?
When I was, I think, 13.
Okay.
No, I started my period when I was 13, and then I was diagnosed when I was 21.
Look at that. Why does it take so long before the doctors can? Is it how you diagnose it? That is a problem?
Yes, that and the fact that with endometriosis, it kind of mimics a lot of other sicknesses. So it's very easy to be told, oh, it's dysmenorrhea, oh, it's that, but to get to the COVID, it takes a long time. And by that time, a lot has gone through. Like, as a person, you've suffered for that.
That's so many years.
For that long, yeah.
Also, just the nature of the condition. It's very complex. Not much is known about it. So the doctors, the medical community also do not understand it as well. So one of the frustrations that you will hear from the women who talk about their journey with endometriosis is that their doctors do not know what it is, and like Lina said, it mimics other conditions.
It does. Misdiagnosis. That clearly is a common thing when it comes to endo. But please tell us, you said there's only one way for you to know for sure whether it's endo or not. Is that the big hurdle? Women are like, if I have to go through that to diagnose if I have it, I'd rather not.
So the only definitive way of diagnosing endometriosis is through a laparoscopy.
Of course, is surgery.
Yes, which is surgery. So it's
non-invasive,
non-invasive, but it's still surgery. But it's not to say that that's the only way. But definitively, for the doctor to actually go in and actually see you, because endometriosis is not visible, like the way, for example, if you cut your hand here, and that's why they call it an invisible condition. Because you can't quite see how it manifests and where exactly it manifests. Because you could have it in your uterus area, but if the doctor only sees that area, it could actually be in the rectum. If he doesn't see that area, then you see. So it hides, and that's why we suggest to women to do a laparoscopy. And if their doctor is suggesting that they have endometriosis, it has to be diagnosed like through a laparoscopy. You can actually do an MRI. And the doctor can actually see the endometrial cells, yes.
Okay.
But definitive for like accurate like for you to actually know that, yes, and to actually know where.
Speaking of, I remember growing up, whether you're in school or at home, whatever setting you're in, and you are in pain, you're literally in pain because of your period, and you'll be told the same thing. This is our journey as women, you know, just take a painkiller or just rest for a little bit and you'll be fine. In fact, after you have kids, that'll go away. Let's talk about the myths. So is painful periods normal? And is having a child the solution to, this fertility?
No. Big no's. And I think we need to the public needs to be sensitized around just handling these types of conversations, especially if I come and I say, I think we're very we're not careful with our words, and that's part of the insensitivity that's around, and part of the thing that's just grows the stigma, and almost like women who have painful periods are not normal. First period pain is not normal. If your body is going through whatever pain you're going through, it's an indication that something is wrong. And I think we just need to encourage people to stop self-diagnosing and self-medicating. Because I think, or Dr. Google, because now you Google, you're like, pelvic pain or cramps, you need to take these kinds of medication. Yeah. And our country doesn't have those. I mean, we're not very strict. Okay. So you can access some over the counter. You can get some very strong pain meds off the counter.
Got it.
And so, wherever we are in terms of just just raising awareness about the condition, the one thing we educate people is don't stop self-diagnosing. Period pain is not normal. A hysterectomy is not a cure for endometriosis. Okay. Pregnancy is not a cure for endometriosis. So there are very many myths that we debunk. There is, and one of the other symptoms which, is very common but women don't realize is fatigue. So, there's this, you live in a perpetual, state of fatigue. And it's not like you've been running
during that time of the month, throughout, you just
perpetual. For as long as you're in your reproductive years, especially.
You're just more tired than normal, or should I say...
there's the
woman who's not experiencing
tired,
endo.
Exactly.
Yes. I am exhausted, and there's I am
exhausted,
just fatigued, just drained.
See.
Because endometriosis is a hormone-fed condition, and so for as long as that hormone is still being produced, the pain continues to just progress. It doesn't get any easier. It doesn't get any better until the hormone is suppressed.
So how do you manage it? How do you function as, if it's a career woman, as a wife, how do you function?
It's only Jesus.
Because we've called on him a couple of times. I'm sure he kind of goes like, I hear you, I'm coming. Because I don't know about you, but I think I used to, my friends used to come to me because they thought I had a pharmacy in my bag.
Like if they need something, they just Lina will.
Headache. Diclofenac, which one do you have?
Wow.
Literally. Because I was a walking pharmacy. And then I had a small travel bag that had sedatives, maybe tampons or whatever, because it was just, my life revolved around it. I couldn't plan. Yes, I couldn't plan to travel unless I check, when am I supposed to have my period? Okay, between this, I can't be out. I can't do this. So I can't go clubbing when I'm on my period. Where? Which club? No. Because you're afraid that my stomach would just, it starts from anywhere. It's not like, my periods came today. Yeah. Fine, the pain is today and then it's done. No. Because it can just start from anywhere. It comes like someone punches you and then pulls your insides out. And imagine you're at the dance floor, you're dancing, and then something happens. You're like, okay, sorry, guys, I gotta go. So my social life was messed up. Relationships, work, school. I couldn't do.
It affects every aspect of your life, pretty much. We need to take a short break. We'll be right back as we talk with our endo warriors and educate us more on what it's like living with endo. Keep it here. Thank you so much for staying tuned as we're enjoying our Faraja tea. We're continuing with, please enjoy, ladies.
Thank you.
We continue the conversation, spreading the yellow. endometriosis, you mentioned how socially it was a struggle. It is a struggle when you have endo. Take me through how it affects your life from socially, financially, even in relationships. You're married, you were married. Maybe you can begin to touch on the reality to those at home who have no idea what it's like. Someone at home is going through it and she feels, oh, I'm not alone. Yeah.
Grace, that's such an important question because as part of raising awareness about endometriosis, we must talk about the impact on a woman's life.
Yeah.
And the one statement that we put across is just to help people understand like what a woman who is struggling with endometriosis is going through is her whole quality of life is compromised.
Yeah.
For as long as she's in her reproductive years. Because, she's struggling not only physically, but she's also struggling emotionally. She's trying to get a sense of value because her period pains have probably impacted her professional life.
Yeah.
Financially, this is also a burden. So I'll talk about even my own personal experience. I had to fundraise for my second surgery because endometriosis is categorized as a chronic and recurring illness, which most of the insurance companies will not
cover.
They will not cover it, and that's something I will talk about. I'll talk about it later in terms of some of the things we are pushing as the foundation.
Good.
And then so her marriage is also impacted because also mentally she's also going through.
This is a friend of yours.
Depression. So I'll talk about even myself.
Yeah.
The burden of the condition is not only physical, but also because of the effects of the hormone suppressant. For example, you go through mood swings. You're very irritable. You're just, you're always in a state. And these drugs, because of their hormone, you can get into. It's very easy to slip into a state of depression without knowing. And like I said, it's a combination.
So you're upset, you're happy, you're angry, then you fall into depression.
Yeah, it's like a yo-yo,
isn't it?
There's some
your emotions are all over the place.
How is it for those who are around you handling now when you're in that state, your husband or your family? How is that dynamic like?
And that's why for us, it's important for the public to be sensitized and understand this condition very well so that they know how to manage you.
Yes.
So for me, I really thank God that, because I started, and I guess it's just my personality. It has everything to do with my personality. I started talking about my pain. My whole family got involved. My brother would take me to the ER for an injection. So everyone would know when there was a problem.
Got it.
And even when I started raising the awareness, when I started the foundation, I had my family support. And to date, I have my husband's support. Let me let Lina talk because she
has a different story
Lina, compared to mine.
Let's just say I come from a family of doctors. First of all, my mom did not know what endometriosis was.
And she was a doctor.
I see. And then when I moved to Nigeria, I felt like I was alone because my dad did not understand
what this was.
Yes, but when I moved to Nigeria, I was on contraceptives.
I see.
So I was happy-go-lucky.
Manage the
hormones.
Okay.
And immediately the contraceptives finished in my body or something. My parents were like, "Hey girl, what's up? We back." And the pain just came. And then I remember that day I threw up and everything. And my dad was like, "Are you pregnant?" And I'm like, I wish, and they couldn't understand. When I started explaining it, I went to the doctors. Everybody was like,
they don't get it.
Yeah, they don't get it. Like, okay, so you're a woman. Are you the first one to have issues with your tummy? I didn't have support. So when I got married, it took a while for my husband to understand when I say I am tired, and I'm not pretending. I had to compromise because I was a married woman.
Wow.
You have to.
The burden that
comes. Yes.
It's a burden, isn't
yes.
it? Did he understand?
He understood, but people are people. Day,
he's a man.
Needs are needs. For a year, I couldn't. And I felt bad, but no matter how much I tried.
And there's no solution. Your doctors couldn't help.
Doctors were giving me just pain meds. And I'll tell them, oh, my knees are hurting. And then the thing that really used to make me sad was someone will say, Tena, you're having a stomachache again. What's wrong with your knees? No. What did you do?
There's always something.
There's always something with you. So the support isn't there.
It's not.
It's good. I'm glad Elsie had that support. I didn't. This is a battle I've just been fighting.
Yeah.
to a point where I'm told, oh, so who did you give your uterus to when I got married? Because obviously I couldn't conceive. I tried. We spent so much money.
Women who suffer with endometriosis, they struggle with fertility. Just trying to conceive is a challenge.
Yeah.
Because you see, like, for example, I'll talk about myself.
Yeah. What about? Because you're married.
Yes. So because I've had 3 surgeries to date, and because they were removing what is called an ovarian cyst. So the cysts that grow as a result of endometriosis. Okay. Because they're doing that surgery and because they're trying to remove the ovarian cyst, they would scoop from the ovary. And what that does, it eats into your ovarian reserve.
Oh no.
So
it affects your ability.
Yeah. So imagine every surgery I used to go to, I remember they were removing an ovarian cyst. And I did not know, imagine. And I wish, on your body. Yeah, I wish I knew. And that's what I'm saying. Now I understand why doctors would come to me with that story. Oh, conceive. Mm-hmm. Because
they
if
knew
you
what
don't
it was doing to your body.
I didn't know that they were eating into my ovarian reserve. And because of that, my ovarian reserve has been compromised.
I see.
And so, it was some really terrible news to have to deal with. Like, I think it was just 4 months before I got married. And just very recently, we had to do some other tests just to understand, okay, what's going on. Because I'm menopausal. My body's behaving menopausal. So hot flashes, everything. It's just like a party. And
I'm telling you.
And I'm like, my body's having a party at my expense.
At your expense.
Without my
permission.
Is this because of the hormonal drugs?
Yes.
I see.
Largely because of the hormonal supplement, the hormonal suppressants. And because of that, this is where we're at. But like I say, I am not the standard, So I have support from my family. I have support from my husband, which is something not a lot of women have. And this is not unique to Kenya. It's a global issue. Some women I have read about, I've read their stories. Husbands have left them just because of their inability to conceive, or just because sex is painful. All these things, and they're not able to talk about it, so it's they consider it a very private issue, and because it's a private issue, you don't know how to raise it. In Africa, and I think in Kenya, it's taboo to talk about period pains.
I think it's time we ended that stigma.
We
on
need
so
to
many
end
things.
We need to end
because,
silence.
like you said, if you had these conversations, who knows? Maybe you'd have known a while ago that, oh, hang on, the more I'm doing this surgery, the more I'm losing my reserve, to have my chances of having a child.
Yes.
But it's that the silent struggle that we must break that culture.
Imagine I am here in the urban, in an urban center, in an urban city.
Yeah.
Imagine the lady who is in Mashinani.
Yes.
Who does not know. She's been told this is witchcraft. She's been cursed, and therefore that's why she's unable to conceive. It's period related, so it's a taboo conversation. She shouldn't have that conversation. She doesn't have access to facilities and doctors who can be able to walk her through this endometriosis.
And even if she does, can she afford it?
She cannot afford it.
Yeah.
So that's why for us, it's important we begin to talk about it. Let's sensitize communities. We need to go into schools, and that's one of the mandates for the Endometriosis Foundation of Kenya.
Tell us more about that.
So I started it, in 2014 because it was from a place of frustration, because one, I couldn't understand that my doctors couldn't understand what the condition is. And they kept telling me, the easiest way they could describe it for me was my uterus was going inside out. So it was a cool thing, it was a cool, I'm telling you guys, I was just be like, go tell people, my uterus is growing inside out. And guys couldn't understand, they couldn't wrap their head around, like, you literally like, and I was telling him, and I was like, I can't conceive. But I took it so lightly then. I didn't understand what the impact was going to be long term.
Years later.
And so that's why, and I tried to Google whether there was any support system or structure organization in the country. There was none. And so, I just called another friend of mine and I told her, let's start and let's register it as an NGO, which we did successfully. We got certification in 2016, and now we are formally engaging, and now, we are also being recognized by the global community.
Well done.
We've just been added into the World Endometriosis Organizations. I feel like, it's a list to actually, it's actually worthwhile talking about, because we are the first of any country in Africa that has been included.
Good job.
So I'm really happy about that, because we will have opportunity to network, to just collaborate in terms of just how to further sensitize the,
maybe even get to the cure.
The medics, just participate in research. Get funding to just try and get to paint a better picture about the prevalence of endometriosis in the country, because we do need numbers before we go to government.
True. We do. And this is just the beginning.
It's just the beginning.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back with Elsie and Dina. Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned. Now, Elsie and Dina, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. I think it's necessary for us to have this important conversation. There's someone at home who needs to hear this. So you mentioned the organization. To someone at home who may be going through this, in terms of a support group, support system, what does the organization have to offer?
So our primary role and the reason we're in existence is to raise awareness about the condition. Then we also provide support for the women who are suffering and people who are affected by the condition.
In what way?
So we've got WhatsApp groups, we've got Telegram groups, where women just come and just share their experiences and their journeys, and people just share and they can be vulnerable in there.
Good. So in a safe space.
Yes, it's a
people
safe
who
space.
Understand.
Exactly. So the WhatsApp group has been in existence since forever, and that's why we know the reason why not many people are not talking about it is because the stigma around it. And so we try to just sensitize the public around the condition and how to better treat and manage, women who are suffering with endometriosis. We want to also be able to just try and see how we can influence in medical insurance, to make sure that they provide. Yes, it is. Provide for us. Again, we did not ask for the condition.
Yes,
we contribute by paying premiums to insurance companies. Surely there should be some sort of how do we accommodate people who are struggling with endometriosis, and also just make sure that she's also protected in the workplace, and not victimized or in any way dismissed for just because she's not able to.
Because some bosses wouldn't understand, I imagine.
And women bosses, and I'll just keep it real, that the people
it's the women
who empathize more with us are the male. Our male
because the women
colleagues
who don't understand, they know, but I
the
have my period every month.
Exactly.
Why are you in pain?
So for us, it's to sensitize also the employer from that perspective, and just make sure that women come on board. Just be sensitive to your woman colleague. When she's going through this, just because you're not in pain doesn't mean that her pain is not valid.
Or it's not real.
My pain is valid.
It is. I have to ask, in terms of the treatments available, if you could take us through what they are, and are there side effects to it?
So there are a lot of hormonal suppressants. I'm currently on one. After my surgery last year, which was supposed to be a laparoscopy, ended up being a C-section because they found too many complications inside. So they started slashing, and then they were like, nope, cut her up. But the hormonal suppressant for me, the side effects are I am on fire.
What do you mean?
Hot flashes.
Yes.
Literally on fire. I get very frequent hot flashes.
Just like you're menopausal.
I am literally menopausal.
Yes.
And then obviously it stops my period. So no period for me. And then my mood swings can go from happy to I want to kill you in 0.2 seconds.
From 0 to 100.
Yeah, in a span of seconds, I'm happy, and then I just switch. And I would notice, I'm like, oh no.
Coming?
Yeah.
So you try and
sometimes I feel it, sometimes I don't, and then sometimes I just feel like I'm so depressed. And then my eating goes from I don't really want to eat to I want to eat a whole cow with its tail.
And is this so just during that period, or is it?
No,
this could be happening.
Yeah, right now, I am literally on fire.
Okay, got it.
You understand? And so that particular hormonal suppressant affects my joints, my knees, my legs. So I can be sitting down for 2 minutes, and then when I get up, I'm limping. It's painful. If I'm sleeping, I wake up, either I'm having my knees are hurting or my back's hurting, and then I blot.
I see.
I blot a lot.
Speaking of the bloating, even for me, I had.
I know what you're talking about, and I have something to say to that. Yes.
And the comments you would get. How many weeks
How
are
many
we?
months? Oh,
Congratulations!
Wow.
I didn't know.
And I'm like, I also didn't know.
Thank you for telling us.
But how does that feel? And how?
It's hurtful
It's
because that's
hurtful.
part of. So I think like she was talking about part of managing endometriosis, and we're not saying that this works for everyone. Again, endometriosis is very patient, like specific. Like it's not a one size fits all.
So you can also take this when you feel this way. No.
So it's not a one size fits all solution, and that's why you have to have a journey with your doctor, so that you can be able to he can be able to actually come up with a solution for you. So for a lot of the endo warriors, there's some foods and drinks and stuff that we cannot consume.
I see.
You know, like wheat.
Because you won't respond well. You'll be bloated.
Gluten just makes the bloating even more aggressive. Diarrhea. So some of us are naturally, human beings are lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
But because of, like, for example, we are going through this condition, there's something within, like, there's a component in the milk that actually just aggravates the condition. So we are not supposed to take dairy. So we're not supposed to eat chocolate. We're not supposed to eat red meat. So it's such a long and discouraging, list.
Like literally, it's a lifestyle change.
It is. It's a complete overhaul. It's an overhaul. But you see, because we live in a country like we do, whenever you introduce other foods, and now that there is this whole healthy living lifestyle that is not also cheap, my friend.
It's not.
So now, like, if I go buy almonds and I'm going to take almond milk and stuff like that as a substitute, because now as we are cutting out all these foods, you have to find the supplement.
Exactly.
For example, milk, calcium.
Yeah.
Which is
which is not cheap.
So yes, and so and then you will not find the same quantity of calcium, for example, in your almond milk that your body requires. Like how we talk about iron deficiency, the right levels, and it comes from these particular foods. We have to make sure that women are actually eating healthy, are getting right levels of magnesium, calcium, and just everything else, potassium for energy. And so you have to understand your body as an endo warrior, because no one else is going to give you the solution. So if I'm always tired, I have to find something that will help me give me that energy. Okay. So that's one of the things. But then the other things is also surgery. So surgery is another way of managing the condition. Okay. So just making sure that they go in, for example, the 3 surgeries are laparoscopy. Yeah. So I went through that, and they removed the adhesions, because how endometriosis, what it looks like inside your body, it's like strings of stuff that attach on themselves to the organs, and that's what they have to go in and cut, and that kind of gives you some relief. If you go through a procedure called anesthesia surgery, that is like the gold standard treatment for endometriosis warriors.
You're guaranteed.
Which is not accessible here in Kenya. There's some women who've had to go through, to other countries. I think you've seen Jambis, in the States. There's no expertise around here.
So is that part of what, as an organization, you're doing in terms of raising this awareness with the medical?
Yeah, talk about, that there's these places where you can go, you can go get treatment, because
even here, we need to be able to do it.
Yeah. That's why now we're trying to ask these doctors to try and make sure that they get,
what do we need to get there?
What do we need to get there? And just raise it for me, it's a public health concern.
It is.
Because if a woman's quality of life is impacted, meaning she can't perform at her optimal, surely
let's do something about it. As we wrap up, I saw a post you put up the other day, Elsie, and you said, I'm strong, but I'm tired.
Yeah. I didn't even realize how that makes me emotional. I think
it kind of sums
it just sums up the journey. It just sums up the journey, because I think there's this perception. I think one as a woman, maybe because I'm leading this course and I'm talking about it, and everyone keeps telling me you're so brave, you're so courageous, and I'm like, you guys have no idea my pillow talk conversations with my husband when I tell him how inadequate I feel. like just in terms of, a struggle with fertility, that he has had to care for me in the first 9 months of our marriage because I was in surgery, and because, just going against, the grain of, as a woman, you're the one who's supposed to take care of the home, do all of those things. And this guy is such a superstar.
So you feel like your role is...
It's switched completely. Yeah. But, it just reminds me of the marriage vows, that we are married for better, for worse. But it's very difficult. At work, I can't take the days. I'm just like, I can't come enough. I can't. I don't have the energy to go in.
Lena, last words.
I have a lot of those days. Last week was it last week or the week before? I had to tell my HR, I need to go home. I'm about to lose it. And I'd already explained to her what I'm going through. I'm like, I'm about to lose, and I was just crying. She's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. I just need to get out. Yeah. And she's like, so for me, sometimes it makes me cry because
it takes a toll emotionally.
Yeah, it does, because I want to have a normal life.
We want to
normal is not what we have.
We don't know normal.
It's not something, if you break your arm, someone can see you.
Yeah.
You have a broken arm.
Yeah.
I cannot explain that I have my insides torn apart every single time I'm having my period. I can't explain why I cannot have a kid. And I can't explain how I miscarried. Like, these are things, if I try to explain to people, it's either they start yawning like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, and I've had stories where, you think, maybe you should see, not a doctor, maybe like a native doctor.
Oh, really?
Church hasn't helped. Going to church hasn't helped. So, this native doctor might have something for you. There's this medicine that they've given another woman that worked for her.
Wow. So the ignorance is still there. And it just makes it harder for you.
Yes, because it's depressing. It's depressing. Like, I did not ask for this. Elsie didn't ask for this. 176 million women did not ask for this. So why is it that when we start talking about it, people just shut down? I don't know about other people, but when I start talking about it and I'm trying to explain, people shut down. They're like, "Chukua Panadol unyamaze? Seriously? You spoke about this last month. Like, what else is new?"
Yeah.
That is usually the question people. Yes, so Lina is sick, to a point where even when I go to the hospital and I'm admitted, when I eventually get admitted, and I tell my friends I'm in hospital again, and I'm like, again.
So it ends up being, it's literally just you.
Nobody takes you seriously.
It's you and this journey by yourself.
Yeah.
It's a very lonely journey.
It's a very solitary journey. And I have considered so many times. One of my best friends has seen me in that state. Like, I've considered suicide so many times. I'm like, I just can't.
You can't handle it.
I can't. I can't.
Because your marriage ended because, that was...
Well, there was tension because of that. That was piling up as well. Because obviously he wants kids. I cannot have kids. I have tried. It's not working. The church, obviously, they'll say, hey, you're not a Christian. You're not a Christian because you're not praying. God would have answered your prayers. Some people understand. Some don't. I've been dragged to church. I've fasted. I've prayed to a point where, like Elsie says, I'm strong, but I'm tired. Like, nimeachia Mungu. That's where I'm like, God, this is it. Like, this is where I am. Hapa ndo tuko. Let's do this together, because obviously there's nothing else I can do.
I think we call it the suffering with endometriosis is like a life sentence. A very silent life sentence. And so for the people who are around us, walk with us, just hold our hand. You don't even have to know the answers, so don't try and give unsolicited advice. Just be there for us and understand what we're going through.
Because it goes a long way.
It does.
You didn't ask for this.
You didn't ask for it. Yeah. That's it.
You didn't ask for it.
Understand.
I hope if you're watching this at home and you may know someone, in your family or the workplace, and you hear of such symptoms, and maybe before you never understood what they were going through. now I hope you've gotten, a lesson or two on what it's like surviving endo, or being an endo warrior. Maybe be more empathetic when we meet someone who's going through it, and just show some love. And speaking of showing love, I have gifts for my dear ladies here today. Just to say thank you. This is for you.
Thank you.
Thanks to Faraja Tea. Or should I show you what's inside before I give you? Just to give you a taste.
Yes.
So we have a T-shirt that you can wear and enjoy. We have some tea.
Awesome.
Which I hope you've enjoyed today.
Yes.
Right?
Loved
Yes,
it.
I even have an apron that you can use in the kitchen when you're doing your cooking and your mugs. So I know it's not much, but it's a little something just to celebrate.
Thank you.
What you're doing to spread the yellow and help other women who are in the space that you're in. And maybe get there. Maybe get the cure. Maybe make this journey easier. Maybe find coping mechanisms that work, and you can have a normal life. That is my prayer and wish for you. Thank you for watching. Do have yourselves a good night. And remember, let's be more empathetic and love each other. God bless you. Bye.